It's my 13th year.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right.
And continuing our introductions, Mr. Galdamez.
Hi, everyone. My name is Oscar Galdamez. This is my 5th year at Novato High School. Great place to be. Look forward to working with your students.
Wonderful. And Ms. Melgoza.
Hello, everyone. Bienvenidos. I'm Ms. Melgoza, one of the counselors here, and welcome. Thank you for your patience.
And then Shannon. She'll be there momentarily. And because we are now recording, I just want to remind us that we are at the Novato High School meeting for our interdistrict transfer families, most of whom are entering into the MSA program as freshmen next year. If that definition does not quite suit you, don't worry. You're probably still in the right place. And we're going to share a lot of great information. So don't worry. And Shannon's computer just died, so don't worry. She'll be back with us shortly. But let's move to the next slide. Now, you all know that I am all about the engagement. So I'm hoping that some of you wouldn't mind entering your name, where you're transferring from, and just a short phrase on why you're transferring to NHS. And I gave an example for my daughter, who's a 6th grader, Melia Cortez from San Rafael, and she'll transfer to the MSA program for theater, hopefully in a couple of years. And we would just love to see it so that I know that you all know how to type into the chat and that we can see who's in the room. Because again, we've gotten a moment to introduce our fabulous counselors who will be doing the bulk of this presentation tonight. But it's you know, being a strong community is about connecting. And I really appreciate knowing that Leaf is in the room, and maybe a few more can say hello. I gave you so many prompts. Brooke is in the room, and Haley, and Cruz, and Sasha, and Jessica. And I love all the places that you're from: Sonoma, Corte Madera, Petaluma. And this is just wonderful because it allows us to see the wide range of the MSA program. And we're just so proud that you have all chosen to attend Novato High School. And I just wanted to do 2 quick reminders before we jump into the Novato High School presentation tonight. And reminder 1 is that the MSA program is a specialized program within a comprehensive high school. And to me, that offers the best of both worlds because it allows students to have the full benefit of athletics and counselors and special education and you know, English language learning and AP classes, as well as kind of the small feeling of our MSA programs. And, you know, since we have 13 of them, that they're very robust in that way. Tonight's focus will be on meeting the counselors and learning about the academic side of Novato High School, as well as some other extracurriculars. And in order to do that, you know, our counselors will talk to you a lot. But before we do that, I'm just going to do, if you advance the slide 1 more, we are going to remind ourselves of this idea of a wellness campus. And as a school campus, we strongly believe that developing as a wellness campus is about sharing the responsibility of taking care of our young people and taking care of them well. So we believe that MSA is a protective factor that that helps students feel like they're exploring themselves and their passions. But we also believe that having a really strong adult community helps all of our students with their wellness efforts and feel good coming to school every day. We understand that we are responsible for your kids. Sometimes we see them more than you will when they start 9th grade, and we take that responsibility really seriously. And the counselors are often the first people that you turn to when your kiddo needs some help, if it's non-MSA related, right? So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ms. Hagan, one of our 5 counselors, who will take it away from there.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Miss Cortez. All right. Well, once again, I love being at Novato High. I love being connected to MSA. It put a smile on my face to see in the chat some of the families coming from San Rafael. I worked at Davidson Middle School for many years before I came to Novato High. Okay, so what is the role of the school counselor? As the slide says, every student is assigned to a counselor. So when you get to the high school level, every student has a personal academic counselor who typically is with them for all 4 years of high school. For me, that's one of my absolute favorite parts about being a school counselor. I love that I get to meet my students as they're incoming to high school, a little scared, a little unsure as they step in, and I literally watch them grow up before my eyes as they are exiting as seniors and stepping out into the world. So the school counselors are connected with academics. We assist your child in making sure they're on track with high school graduation requirements, with A through G college entrance requirements, with any kinds of goals, college, career, all those sorts of things, social, emotional, or mental health needs. Again, as Ms. Cortez said, the counselor is really the first stop shop for your students. So students out there, if you have any questions, you don't know where to go, you don't know where to find something, you're concerned about a friend, you're concerned about yourself, you're struggling in a class, anything that you need, your counselor is really the first person that you come to see, and we can either help you or we can refer you to the right place. And you're always welcome to stop in and see your counselor before school, break time, lunchtime, after school. And if you come in and your counselor is not available, because we're all busy with lots of things, as soon as you walk in, there are blue forms that you can fill out. Request to see my counselor. You put your name on it, you circle your counselor, and you can write a few note or two about what you might need, and we will call you in out of class when we're able to do so. We are not really able to provide weekly counseling therapy kind of thing, and we do have resources on campus to be able to refer to that as needed. But we certainly can provide crisis counseling, and we assist in all kinds of ways. Okay, all right, next slide. All right, so how do you know who your counselor is? Well, as you can see, the NHS school counselors and MSA staff, the wonderful Miss Cortez, who is director of MSA and also assistant principal, Shannon Miller, who is our MSA coordinator and specialist. Shannon is completely on it. Any questions about MSA courses, placement, can I have this class instead of that MSA class, anything related to MSA, pretty much goes through Shannon in terms of courses and placement. So then you can see 4 counselors listed after that. Marin McMahon typically has students under her caseload whose last names begin with A through F. Mr. Oscar Galdamez has students whose last names begin with the letter G through L. Oscar is Spanish speaking, has English language development students under him as well. Myself, Debbie Hagan, I have students whose last names begin with MNOP. I'm Spanish speaking as well, with students that are in ELD, English language development. And then Miss Ade Melgoza, our tech person of the night here and wonderful new counselor at Novato High, with students whose last names begin with P through Z. So it's wonderful. There are 5 of us school counselors and 3 of us are Spanish speaking, which is a great thing. We often have our students are bilingual, but parents might prefer Spanish. So we're so glad to be able to communicate in Spanish as well. We do have one more counselor, and that's Anna McGee. And Anna is in charge of our students who are in the AVID program. And Anna is doing some work at the district office now, and we will be having a new AVID counselor coming on board. Okay, next slide. And I'm going to be passing this on to our Marie McMahon, who's going to tell you all about freshman year courses. Take it away, Miss McMahon.
Great. As your freshman
perfect.
As your freshman comes into Novato High School, they're going to have a very set course schedule. They're going to have 5 core classes plus their 2 MSA classes. They're going to start with English 9, which is a requirement A through G, which you're going to learn about in a few slides down the road here. Physics, also a core class. And I would say 95% of our kids start at the Algebra 1 level. If your student is in Algebra 1 now, you will talk with your counselor for a geometry placement. And again, we'll address that down the road, but so English, physics, math. You'll have 1 semester of college and career readiness, and then 1 semester of health. Half the class will start with what we call CCR, college and career readiness, and the other half of the class will start in health. The college and career readiness course is a comprehensive college prep course. Really wants to get kids started with doing their career planning early on. So after that, we have PE 9, which all students are required to join. And then each student will have their 2 MSA courses. There are a few exceptions. If anyone's in the dance program, they actually get PE credit for their dance, so they do have room for other courses. And then in theater, the same situation. So, but for the most part, all freshman students have the 7 courses just as planned. Okay, moving on to the next slide. On our main Novato High website, there is an academic planning guide. So if you go to our website and you scroll to the bottom and you click on our academic planning guide, it can be a little intimidating. There's a lot of information in there. It's a great thing to maybe cruise through over the weekend, both your student and parents, or this summer, because it is a long 50-page document. It can be intimidating. So we don't want you to miss anything. So definitely take some time this summer and review our Novato High School academic planning guide. Finally, remember MSA program classes are only added by Shannon in the MSA department. So anything MSA placement wise needs to go through Shannon and not your counselor. And finally, schedules will be ready at orientation on August 10th. So stay tuned for schedules available then.
And Miss McMahon, I just wanted to say, one of the lovely privileges of being in the MSA program is your kiddos' schedules are pretty set. It's just where they go in the day, you won't know until after, but it's one way that kind of earned the right to know exactly what your classes are, because you've got those 5 core classes plus your 2 MSA that Shannon will help with, and you're set and ready to go. It's just a matter of what order they are, right, Miss McMahon?
Yes, exactly. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Galdames.
Okay, thank you, Ms. McMahon. So as you can see the slide right here, this is a good example of what how your student will progress throughout the years. You can see in grade 9, as we mentioned before, things are pretty set in 9th grade. They don't have that many options unless, there's always alternatives to where, maybe you take a dance PE like mentioned before, and then that opens up a slot so you can put in another course. But in general, you're going to get your math, you're going to get your physics, your PE, college and career readiness. You can see how in grade 10, things start to open up a little bit. The one thing you didn't see in 9th grade was social studies. And that's when, in grade 10, that's when history begins for a lot of our students. And kids also get the option of starting to possibly think about AP classes in this grade. You can see that in grade 11, things even expand a little bit more. English becomes an option for an AP. Social studies still, we provide a push is what we call it. Depending on your math level, you can carry on with math for quite a few years, actually. I'd say 4 to 5 years if you really want to pursue mathematics. Biology, grade 12. By the time you're in grade 12, you're going to have a lot of AP courses in any of the core classes: math, science, English, history. Electives, you're always going to have your 2 MSA classes, but the one thing that kids tend to ask a lot of our counseling crew is, hey, when can I do my foreign language? I'm going to mention that in the next slide so you kind of understand it. But there is ways, we know that our MSA students' course requests tend to be very full. They're going to take 7 periods most of the time throughout their MSA career. But there is ways to get the foreign language requirements done, and really, just ask your counselor. We can direct you in the right way for that. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide. So parents, students, pay attention to this one. I love this one. This is my favorite one because I love trying to get kids to college. And this is it. If there's anything you want to copy out of our PowerPoint today, make a big old, blow this thing up and put it on your wall for 4 years, okay? Because this is really a good tracking of what needs to get done in order for you to get to either the university, the junior college, get a high school diploma. But you can see everything that's gray is the requirements for an NUSD graduation, okay, for you to get a diploma, in other words. So you can see in social studies, it's going to be 3 years, okay? It's going to be world history, US history, government, and econ when you're a senior, more than likely. English, you're never going to get away from it, guys. So 4 years, you got to stay on the ball with English, okay? Because once you get behind in that, if you don't produce good grades, then you'll see that it becomes a little bit of a struggle to try to do some of these credit recoveries and things like that. Math is 2 years for a diploma. You got to have algebra in order to get a diploma from NUSD. Science is 3 years, and we take care of you for the most part there. You can do bio, you can do physics, and you can do chemistry 3 out of the 4 years. Here's the foreign language now. It's not recommended for a diploma, but later on here, when I start talking to you about the blue part of this PowerPoint shot, that you'll see why it's actually required. Visual performing arts, you're probably going to get, because you're MSA students, you're going to get plenty of that. You really are. You're not going to have to worry too much about the visual performing arts. And you can see health and college career, you got to pass the class. You really do. Okay. A lot of ninth graders will come in and say, health class, CNC, oh, this is nothing. Yeah, it is. You don't pass it, you're not technically going to fulfill the requirements. PE, it's always 2 years. We like to get kids, on the right track with PE. It's a state requirement anyway for you to take it in ninth grade, but you don't necessarily have to take it back to back either. You can take it later on in your junior year, senior year, things like that. Electives, because you're MSA students, that's probably going to end up taking care of itself because you're going to take a lot of MSA classes, which count towards elective credits. Now, the blue part is probably the more important, because I would imagine a lot of you watching here want either your students to go to college or you want to go to college if you're a student and you're watching right now. Here's the comparison to what the California State University and the University of California versus just a graduation requirement. We'd call it the A through G requirements. The reason why is because if you look carefully, you'll see that every subject has a letter that's attached to it. So social studies is letter A, English is letter B, math is letter C, science is D, and you can see how it kind of works itself out. That's why they call it the A through G requirements. These are the requirements that all students need to fulfill in order to apply to a university, okay? But there's a trick to this, it really is, that you have to get a C or a better in every single course that you take, okay? The minute that you get a D, no matter if it was in ninth grade and you end up being a senior and you're like, oh, okay, well, that didn't matter. It happened in ninth grade. No, it matters. Okay, we'll have to correct it in some way, some form in the years to come. But if you get a D in ninth grade, freshman, first semester of your high school career, and then later on you want to apply to colleges, you're not going to be eligible. Okay, so you got to take every year very seriously. You really do. That's the biggest thing that I can tell you about, a high school career is that you got to take 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th equally are important. Okay, so you can see in social studies, they ask for 2 years. Okay, but Novato High, we're doing you a favor because we're making you do 3 anyway. Okay, so in a way, you're going to go above and beyond the requirements for A through G. English doesn't change. You got to do the 4 years regardless. Okay, and the better you can do in English, the better probably you're going to be off later on. Math, they only ask you for 2 for your graduation at Novato High, but they're asking you for 3 from the California State use and the UC. As you can see, they're very specific about it too. They say Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, or Financial Algebra, which are very comparable and both are accepted as requirements. But notice, very small little tally right there. It says 4 years recommended. Parents, listen, if you can push your students to do those 4 years, highly recommend it, because you got to remember, you're competing against thousands of people, students that are trying to get into the same thing that you're trying to get into. So anything that you can go above and beyond in any of these categories is totally going to be great for you. Okay. Science, you can see 2 years is what they say, but 3 years is recommended. You're going to do 3 years anyway through biology, physics, and chemistry. So you should be covered in that category. Foreign language here comes into play. Now they ask for 2 years. Now some of you may have taken foreign language at your junior high. We'll count that as long as you can prove it on a transcript that you actually did take it. So you don't technically have to stay in Spanish level 1 right into high school. Now we even have placement tests that are available. Let's just say you're Spanish speaking at home, or you know the language pretty decently. We have placement tests that each counselor can provide for you, and you can take it and see where you place. Because if you place into Spanish 2, then that counts as 2 years of a foreign language. So in a way, it's not a bad idea if you've taken some Spanish before to try to see how you can do on a placement test. You can see the visual performing arts. Again, guys, you're MSA students. You're not going to really worry too much about it. That's really just 1 year that they're asking of you. And the rest pretty much takes care of itself. I hope that was a good explanation, but blow this thing up and put it on your kids' walls, because it's the one that's going to get them to college. Next slide. Okay, I believe, yeah, it's Miss Mogoza.
Thank you, Mr. Galdames. Hello, everyone. So one of the things we just wanted to kind of give you is a little sense of what the bell schedule looks like right now. This is what our students are currently doing. Most MSA students, I would say, are here for all 7 periods, because you guys are definitely, as Ms. Cortez mentioned, trying to take advantage of our beautiful MSA program. So a typical day will start at 8:30 and end at 3:40 on Monday, Thursday, and Friday. But the one thing that I personally really love about Novato High is that we have office hours. And I know for many of us, when we were perhaps in college, we might remember that office hours could have felt intimidating. Full confession, I probably didn't realize office hours until I was a junior, and I realized, oh my goodness, that means I actually can get help for free from my teacher. And so we're working really hard on encouraging our students to take advantage of office hours as a great time to catch up on assignments, to check in with teachers, or let's say you missed a test because you happened to be sick, or you were out of town because your mom and dad had an emergency trip or something. Office hours is when our teachers are available to allow students to take care of that kind of business. So office hours are Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and we have a block-based schedule. So for now, we're not trying to stress you out, families, by memorizing this. When you come to orientation, we'll give you a beautiful printout, but definitely we just wanted to share one of the things that we really love about Novato High. And I think our staff, our teachers also appreciate the time during the day, because many of your kids are going to be super busy with after school projects for MSA, or they're going to be busy with perhaps athletics. So that brings me to the next part of our presentation. Here at Novato High, we have an amazing selection of sports, 3 seasons, fall, winter, and spring. A lot of the freshmen asked us, rising 8th graders, when we visited the Novato middle schools, they asked us, can I be on the football team and do cross country at the same time? And the answer is no. It's only 1 sport per season. Okay. And so again, this whole PowerPoint is going to be available for you after. So no need to frantically write this down. And this information is also on the Novato High School website under the athletics tab. So again, you can find this information in 2 different areas. But the main thing
that goes, I just wanted to clarify that almost all MSA programs, because they're done in the school day, you can absolutely be an artist athlete, and we have a lot of them. So the only program that sometimes competes after school with athletics is theater, but you theater families, I know that you're going to get lots of information coming up soon about the seasons and what works. But every other MSA program, you can absolutely do, carpools, jobs, athletics, all the things.
Absolutely. And I think as I go back to the power, I accidentally hit the wrong button. hang tight. But one of the things about athletics that is really important to keep in mind right now with our students, our athletic director we've had a lot of freshmen this year state that they didn't realize that their 8th grade grades matter for fall eligibility to be in a team sport. So those grades for those 8th graders who you feel, parents, you know your kiddos the best. If you see they're acting like, oh, I don't really, it's 8th grade, who cares? Well, it does count, especially for athletics. And as Mr. Galdames mentioned, also for those kids who are taking Spanish or algebra, if they want to go into the next level, guess what? We are going to look at that grade. So not just for athletics, but definitely when it comes to the Spanish or algebra, we will look at that. And the algebra and Spanish grade are reported to the colleges as well. So kind of nudge your little 8th grader to like hang tight, not give up on it. But for sports, just keep in mind that the requirement is a 2.0 GPA or higher to remain eligible. And I don't know if you can hear the swim team behind me, but they are playing tons of music right now. The swimming pool's right behind my office, so my apologies. I can hear the jams super clear. I don't know if you guys can, so my apologies for that background noise. Here at Novato High, our athletic director, Ms. Michelle Smith, told me to please make sure that if you have any questions about athletics, to feel free to email her directly. She's happy to take any questions. And there's also the QR code on the PowerPoint where you can find all the information about athletics that we covered today. And right now, as 8th graders, rising, 9th grade parents here, there's a survey that your kids can fill out just to let her know if you're roughly thinking about trying out for any of these sports. It's not a firm commitment, so don't panic. It doesn't mean like you have to be on the football team if you said you might be interested. No, this is just a soft ask. She's just trying to keep track so that way she can notify you when those tryouts come out or any paperwork that needs to be completed. So as I mentioned before, all of this information would also be available on the Novato High website, so no need to, write everything down right now. And then I'm going to hand it over to Miss Miller.
Hi, everybody. I hope that you're finding this information to be super useful and helpful. And yes, I will be sending it out in a newsletter along with a recording of the presentation tonight. So no need to write down all of the notes. But as this slide shows, we do have a really great orientation system at Novato High School. And the freshman students will have a special freshman orientation on August 10th, as the slide says. And that's a really wonderful, well-run program involving mentor students. So that will really help acclimate students. And then they will also have their time in the registration to get their exact schedule and all kinds of good things like that. We will also have an MSA welcome. We call them town halls, and our first kickoff is going to be just a few days before freshman orientation. We're working out those details and we'll get that out in a future e-blast. If you have not, by the way, seen MailChimps come from MSA, please check your spam folders, because as the MSA communication slide says, we send all of our group communications through our MailChimp, and I've put all of you in for the primary parent contact. If you are in a 2 parent household that you have very involved family members, we love that. It's wonderful if you just let me know that you need to be added to the mailing list, and we'll get you added there. So you will get information about the MSA Town Hall kickoff. And for next steps, you will also, in a future communication, get an opt-in to be a part of the MSA directory. And this is really a great tool for all MSA families, but particularly inter-district transfers, because it's sorted by zip code. It only provides the parents' names, the students' names, email information for the parent only, and the student's program and their year. And it's sorted by zip code so that you can know all the MSA families who have opted in, who are in your community, and you can hopefully arrange carpools, which is a very wonderful tradition as a part of MSA, you're parts of lots of little communities, and we like to bring you all together on our campus. So
And I just want to set some expectations around that so that you're not frustrated and waiting, biting your fingernails. This usually comes out late July or early August. So hang in there. And hopefully if you already know some folks, you might, do some carpooling if this is your situation and would make you feel comfortable. But this list, this directory opt-in process happens late July, early August. And it's self-organized by families. We don't do anything but give you the information if you want to share your information. Other than that, some industrious person in your area may send an email out to everyone in the surrounding place, and you all work it out. And it's beautiful friendships that happen, that are lifelong friendships happen out of carpools. Thanks to Miss Miller's many efforts to make that happen.
Yes, and I just want to clarify, the reason why we wait until midsummer is that we want to make sure that our directories are as accurate as possible and that all of you really truly have a chance to opt in, because the first year we did the opt-in, we sent it out and we went with what we had, and people said, wait, I wanted to join. And when we end up sending too many versions of these directories out, it becomes super confusing. So we just want to get you the most clean, beautiful copy that we can. And I think I am the ending person, but please do let us know if you've got questions. We've had a great stream of questions being asked in the chat. So we're here to answer any additional questions that you might have and any other comments.
Before we do that too, I wanted to let you know, families, as the administrator here, that we are waiting for Novato Unified School District to transfer your information from all that information you put into School Mint is not yet into our area system. So while you hopefully got a chance to see who your counselor will likely be and see their beautiful, friendly faces and know how lucky you will be to work with these great humans, they may not be able to answer your specific questions and be your counselor right now because you still have your 8th grade counselors. And that's because we're waiting for, it'll probably take another week or two for you to show up in areas so that all your scheduled classes will come through. So please be a little bit patient, and our counselors, the best thing to do if you have an individualized question is to email the person who you think will be your counselor based on that alphabetical piece, with just a little bit of grace and patience, knowing that that they may not be able to answer your specific questions until you're in Aries and they can see everything all at once. But that's a great next step, and email first before the meeting is a really wonderful way to make sure that we can help you. And there's that beautiful slide with who your counselor may likely be based on your alphabet.
And I would like to just add one more note about getting your student into our Novato High School registration system. So for many of you, I have been going through and checking everybody's status. If you are coming to us as a Novato resident coming from a private school and that you need to register at Novato High School, or you are coming to us as an interdistrict transfer, it's really important to please check your student's School Mint account and make sure that their registration is showing as verified or complete for Novato High School. We still have about 20 accounts that have not yet completed that registration process, and we can't get you added into our scheduling system until that is done. If you have any questions, please email me about it. I'm happy to walk people through what's needed.
Okay, so I'm answering some of the questions that are coming up on the chat. And one of the questions had to do with orientation. Is that just for students or is it for parents? The freshman orientation morning is for the students. It's very exciting. There's a rally, there's pizza, there's activities, there's icebreakers. We have the junior, senior students that are link crew mentors to the incoming 9th grade students. So it's kind of this big, exciting morning. So that is really a student event. So let's see, there was another question that had to do with
world languages over the summer.
Especially for 8th graders.
Okay, so there, yes, here we go. Can an eighth grader take a foreign language over the summer and have it count towards high school credit? Here's what I would say. Again, I know Mr. Galdamez was showing us the chart that shows what are the Novato High graduation requirements versus what are the requirements, the A through G college entrance requirements for a four-year university. So again, foreign language is not required to graduate from Novato High. But if your student did take foreign language over the summer, let's say, for example, they took Spanish 1, moving on through high school, again, to apply to a four-year university, you would want to have at least 2 to 3 years of the same foreign language. So if your child has taken Spanish 1, they may not have space in their ninth grade schedule, but they certainly can take Spanish 2 moving forward, especially once they show their verification that they had already taken Spanish 1. So I hope that answers that question. And as Mr. Galdamez said, this question does come up because, again, foreign language is not required to graduate from Novato High, but it is required to apply directly into a four-year university. And we know that students and parents are often concerned. My child's an MSA, there's 5 required classes, there's 2 MSA classes, there's the 7 classes. How am I going to fit in foreign language? Again, there really are lots of opportunities. Our local community colleges, College of Marin, Santa Rosa Junior College, many of our MSA students take foreign language at Lake Tahoe Community College. That is certainly far away on beautiful Lake Tahoe area, but they have some wonderful online foreign language classes there. And the general protocol is if students want to take a class, once they are enrolled at Novato High, once students start as ninth graders, if they want to take a class outside of Novato High and have that class appear on their Novato High transcript, the student must talk with their counselor as they are getting ready to register for that outside class. The counselor then requests of our administration that once that course is completed and the student has provided their transcript, has shown the class and the grade that they got, then we can request that that grade and course will go on the student's high school transcript. But we do need to get that pre-approved first, and that's once the student does start at Novato High. Okay, so let's see. Someone asked, what time does orientation end? Is it all day? It is generally a morning orientation that goes from 9 to 1. However, this part has not been added in quite yet, but typically our high school students, each grade level, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, there usually is a time frame in the afternoon that's usually a 1-hour time frame when students will be able to go into typically one of our 2 gyms, and they have their school picture taken, they get their student ID card, they might be able to buy their PE clothes, those sorts of things. I don't know at this moment if that will be blended into the orientation morning, but typically they have a different time. My guess is the orientation would be about 9 to 1, and that the ninth graders going into the gym to get pictures and PE clothes kind of thing would typically be maybe at the end of the orientation, kind of linked into it. So let's see. What else have we got? There's different questions that are coming through. So a question is, so it sounds like to get the foreign language requirement, the student will have to take 8 classes with one being online or a COM. And so
you don't have to take it all at once, y'all.
Yeah.
No.
I highly recommend that ninth graders, you already have a huge load. And so I feel like ninth grade is a great time to make friends and to make room and to orient. So I highly recommend not taking 8 classes because it's stressful, especially with traveling and getting over here. There's 4 years of high school, and a lot of our students, sometimes if they're feeling really academically recharged after freshman year, they'll start between freshman and sophomore year to take their world languages classes in the summer. And then there's also more room develops, if you remember that slide, so that you don't have to take your world languages classes in outside of Novato High. You can take them here, but you won't start when you're a freshman. You might start when you're a sophomore, junior. And that's actually true for kids who are not an MSA as well. So Spanish 1 often starts sophomore year or Spanish 2, whatever your entry level is. Fair enough to say? And I'm seeing my counselors nod heads. They're so smart. So when they nod head, I feel really great.
No, that's very true, Ms. Cortez. And really, freshman year is the year where all incoming ninth graders have 5 required classes. The number of required classes decreases with 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. So there becomes available more room, more openings within your students' potential course requests. Here we go. This is flashing up again. As you can see in the 10th grade, there would be required English, social studies, math, chemistry, PE. Students are required to graduate from Novato High to have 2 years of PE, but that second year of PE can be fulfilled instead of taking a PE class by doing Novato High sports. Each sports season counts for half a year of PE. So if a student did a fall sport, a spring sport, and they requested that could count towards their PE credits, then they would have their PE completed without taking a second year of PE. We also have something called independent study PE, which is doing the sports at Novato High towards your PE credits, but it also can include if students are doing some kind of intensive outside of Novato High physical activity. For example, if students are doing ballet 4 to 5 days a week, if they're rowing crew, if they're on a mountain biking team that has 4 days a week, a few hours of practice, competitions. So there's a certain threshold that to qualify for independent study PE outside of Novato High or Novato High sports, it has to be fairly intensive, meeting a certain number of minutes per week and having mentoring, coaching, and also having competitions. But as you can see going through the grades, stepping into grade 11, there's going to be required English, either regular English 11 or AP. There's social studies, either regular US history or AP. There's math, depending what your level your child is going into. There is biology. So there's 4 required courses, 2 electives, which would typically be MSA, and then there would be space for 1 other class. And you will see as your child moves through Novato High, there are lots of AP opportunities in all the different subject areas, in English, in social studies, in math, in science, in electives. There are lots of different AP. I believe we have 18 to 20 AP courses available, AP and honors. Okay.
One question came in the chat that I thought was a really good one. A few people are asking about language other than English. For those of you, as Mr. Galdamas mentioned, some of us may speak Spanish or Hebrew or Chinese or Korean, Japanese. We can take an AP exam here at Novato High. So Ms. McMahon, who happens to be here this evening, she's an awesome coordinator for AP exams. So and I do have a student, for example, who is completely fluent in Japanese. He's just going to take the test with Ms. McMahon. She's going to order that for the student. And if the student scores with a 3 or higher, that will count for college admissions. So again, any specific language questions, feel free to shoot one of us a direct message. And as the kids go through high school with us, believe me, every year we will go through scheduling with the kiddos. So don't think that this is the one time you'll see us. The kids will see us every year. We go into the classrooms. And then as they get older, they'll have one-on-one meetings with us. So we're here to help them and you throughout the high school journey.
Absolutely. And to answer another few questions I see popping up, there was a question about sports and do sports count for how do sports and 9th grade PE connect? So again, every incoming 9th grader is going to be taking 1 year of PE in the 9th grade. To graduate from high school, you need 2 years of PE. Even if your child is doing sports, we have some students who are in MSA and they also do 2 to 3 sports, a fall sport, a winter sport, a spring sport. But you cannot use those Novato High sports during your 9th grade year to count towards PE credits because you are already in a PE class as a 9th grader. So it's starting 10th grade that you can start utilizing your Novato High sports towards your PE credits. And again, I know that's sometimes a little complicated, but your counselor is happy to answer any questions. And then there was another question wondering why taking a foreign language class during middle school counts towards high school credit. Taking foreign language from a community college over the summer between 8th and 9th does not. And it's not that they don't count towards high school credit. We don't include a course that's taken before a student comes to high school. We don't include that as high school credit. And we don't include it on the student's transcript. However, rest assured, if you have taken a foreign language in middle school or during the summer before high school, what you are doing is already mastering that level so that you are stepping into a higher level in high school. And so it is assumed if you're stepping into Spanish 2 or 3, you have already taken those lower levels at the middle school or outside of middle school arena. And so for the purposes of applying to four-year universities, basically you want to get up to the second or third level minimally of the foreign language. So if you, for many of our native Spanish speakers, they might start in Spanish 2 or 3 because they are already able to speak, read, and write in Spanish. So if a student started in Spanish 3, for example, they're already at the third level of foreign language. They don't have to worry that years 1 and 2 don't count. For the purpose of college applications, they're already at the third level. So they don't
Again, I
need-
think that what they're asking about is it's not counting for credits, their high school credits. But it's counting for the progression, right? So we honor the skill sets that were mastered, but you just don't get the high school credits that you need.
Exactly. And it is serving a purpose.
And keep in mind that when you apply to college, that's where you'll report it and they will make their own assessment. So you win-win. It just doesn't appear on a transcript. Yeah.
Exactly right. And people are welcome to ask questions verbally if you would prefer to do that instead of typing into the chat. That's fine as well.
Well, and one of the wonderful things, MSA families, is that you've some of this stuff is a repeat, right? We looked at it if you came on the tour with us. And so it's 6:45 and it's the kind of the end of our presentation. So I don't want you to feel like you're being rude if it's time for you to go. And remember that we're here, and one of the most amazing protective factors for your kids is getting to know their counselor, because unlike their English or math teacher, your counselor will ideally stay with you for all 4 years. And if you have younger brothers and sisters, hopefully it'll be the same counselor the whole time. So these folks are your bridge to the school and to answer your questions. And while Shannon and I love getting involved in all the time and everything, we're going to really be your MSA experts, and your counselors are going to kind of handle the wellness components and the transcript and class selection process. And they're going to be your go-to when it comes to if your kiddos need a little bit of more help. So don't rush, because you're going to know them for a long time. And we really appreciate all of this. So most folks who are on this call are probably in Schoolmint and Aries, and you can check your Schoolmint progress. Remember, Shannon is available to also support you if it says that you're not quite finished or verified. She's your go-to, and we've got her on all systems to help you. And other than that, you just hang tight, right? So hang in there and hang tight, and you will be getting communication from Shannon and I. We'll probably send out maybe 2 or 3 emails between now and the end of the school year, so you know what to expect. And then the school emails start coming in July. So you'll get them from both MSA Shannon and I, and you'll also get some from Carolyn Pertel and from your counselors. And we don't have an exact timeline on those, but they will arrive. And we look forward to a really beautiful and normal next year. So hopefully we can do lots of things in person next year.